The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast.
You know, it's been a weird week here at PTR TV. We had some time off, which we don't normally get, to appreciate things. But it's so nice to get to come back here to racing in Elbows Out Racing League and get things back going the way we know and the way we love, because there's just something nice about getting to watch virtual racing, regardless of kind of who you are, regardless of what you know and love. And when you get to sit down and watch some LMP2s and GT3s go around, it gets so much fun. Elbows Out Racing has become one of those leagues that has become kind of a quintessential staple of the channel, and I've really been enjoying it. The championship battles are very close, things are very exciting, and frankly, I just can't wait to see how this season goes through. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in for round number 4, if I am correct on this. It is Lay the Lumber 60 here with Elbows Out Racing League, presented by International Decorators. Check out www.4idi.com. Big shout out to them, as always, is every week, for bringing this series to you. No, Justin Anasogak is not racing in this run, unless Justin Anasogak really wants to. I'm sure he'd be welcome. So if he wanted to be here, he could be here. But right now, he's not. It's going to be myself, Brad, in the booth, joined by Patrick, yet again, as is usual here, week after week. Patrick, good evening, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic, Brad. And I share the sentiment. I love coming back here to Elbows Out Racing, watching these very talented competitors tackle several extremely different tracks. And this track in general, I actually did quite a bit of research on it. This track is the oldest permanent motorsports facility inside of Canada. It's pretty much, the layout has been exactly unchanged since 1961. So this is an interesting course. Now, last week, a lot of drivers said that they weren't feeling super comfortable around the circuit. So I think we might see a spice up in how this race finishes compared to the 4 races prior.
I definitely think it's going to be interesting to see who has put in the practice over the past week, who's kind of gotten comfortable being uncomfortable, which is something that some of our drivers tend to do and some tend to struggle with. Now, I'm looking at the entry numbers for the week here. We're looking at 9 LMP2s in the pro category, 12 GT3s. And then, of course, in GT3 AM, we are looking at 17 drivers, 1717. So that is going to be interesting to watch and kind of see how they do here as we get set up and get on the grid here. Plenty of new drivers that have joined us in here, but as we get set up and going, let's go ahead and check out this starting lineup here, brought to you by IDI. Let's get it pulled up here as we go, and we'll run down the results here. Start with LMP2 on the grid. So as it stands for them, in LMP2. In the Lay the Lumber 60 at CTMP, it's Antonio Costa who took the top time with Cody Peridotto in second place. Caleb Orzo in P3, Aiden Garcia fourth, Malik Bass fifth, Eric Wineland in sixth, and then from there we're going Kel Hagen, Hugo Ortiz, Bob Carey. In GT3s, they will stack up as follows: Paul Nye Sr., Peter Nodwell, Colin Bourdon, Tyler Stenick, Julius Mashevsky, Callan Tobin, your top six, Brian Metterly, Mike Sermon, Emily Milkey, Martin Merkva, Zachary Nerney and Chris Stewart, the 12 GT3 Pros. And then in AMs, here's how they line up. Ethan Murphy will be top of the timing tables there with Matt Toppin in second. Third place will be Jonathan Lanton with Dayton McGuire in P4, Nathan Hemperly in P5, and Christian Cardona in P number 6. From there we go P7, which is gonna show us Benjamin Bechtel, Max Poe in P8, David Moore in 9th, Tyler C, you see him in P10 and GT3 AM, Shea Perkins P11, Philip Kaiser in P12, Parker Chiapuzzo, Seth Fosselman, Christopher Ondera, Dwight Hibbs, Aiden Toohey, the 17 GT3 amps to take on the run of this track. Looks like we're going to get a rare moment here. Looks like we are getting a full pace lap. Now, normally we run short pace laps here in Elbows Out, but it looks like we're getting a full one.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting change here. I mean, this track it's not really short by any standards. I mean, it's shorter than the track we went to last week with Spa. That track is about 7 kilometers round. This is only 4 kilometers round. Just over 2.5 miles around this track. Yeah, it's interesting that we're getting a full lap, but looking at the track map, it's a pretty high speed course. You do have a lot of sweeping corners here. You do have one very tight corner around the Moss, which looks like basically a slightly elongated hairpin, and then you have the Mario Andretti straightaway, massive straight down to the S's. This doesn't seem like a super complicated track, but you can also say the same about Watkins Glen, but we know that track is a track that really has no mercy. And if the drivers really were comfortable about this race when we interviewed them last week after the 90 minutes at Spa, then this track is definitely something you really got to pay attention on this track. One slight slip up, one slight mistake, and you are going to turn your car into a very expensive lawnmower here tonight.
Now, hold on. You said Watkins Glen is complicated. If we're talking about the NASCAR layout, I'm going to argue that every day of the week and twice on Sunday. I don't think NASCAR's layout is complicated at all. They take out the best run here around Watkins Glen. That's a podcast topic. I'll save that for another time, though. Going through the Moss corner, as you just saw here, out of technically Moss is turn 5 here, and now down into turn 6. This is only a 10-turn course, but it is a lot of fun nevertheless here. I'm going to tell you right now, this is probably going to be our quickest sort of setup on the night for lap times. Probably the most laps we'll see them run all season, including our 2 90-minute races, looking at about 53-ish laps to be done by whoever is in the lead across our 60 minutes of racing. Going through here, you can see the GT3s have built up their 5-second interval to the LMP2s, as they should. GT3s will start at the line, or LMP2s will start at the line. GT3s will start shortly behind here as they come through the final couple of corners. Pace car leading them through. Pace car pulls off very late into the pits, and we are going to be underway here for 60 minutes of racing. We are green for Lay the Lumber 60. Here we go down into turn 1 with the LMP2s, and everyone seems to make their way through turn 1 pretty well. Going through, it's Antonio Costa, Cody Peridotto, and Caleb Orzo, the top 3, setting as they were as GT3s get going down into turn 1, and this is the part that I really am worried about as they all get through. GT3 Pros through, GT3 AMs through, battles happening up, down, all the way around. And everyone, it seems, making it through the first couple of corners mostly in one piece from what I can see. This is probably our cleanest race start that we've had in a while.
Yeah, I mean, no incidents going into turn 1. I mean, it's not the tightest turn 1 compared to like some other tracks, but this track in general, I mean, it's a very high-speed corner going into turn number 1. And when you have, in the case of the GT3s, about 30 cars trying to dive for that same corner, then normally you see at least a little bit of paint being traded. But I agree, very clean race start here. Paul Nye Sr. getting the start that he would have wanted there in a Mercedes, Ethan Murphy. So it looks like all of our leaders, all the pole sitters from the session earlier, are seeming to have a very good start, as Chris Stewart is going wheel to wheel here with Mike Sermon and Emily Milky just shortly behind in that McLaren, trying to make positions up, trying to set the pace early on here at the 60 minutes at Canada. I mean, these drivers, for a bunch of these drivers who weren't feeling comfortable coming into this race, I think they're doing quite solid here in the opening stages.
Yeah, I'd agree wholeheartedly. This is probably going to be our tightest, most competitive race of the season, honestly, if the first couple laps are anything to go off of. Cody Peredato with a great dive there up the inside on Kale Orzo, getting through with Aiden Garcia in fourth just behind here. LMP2, a very competitive field, staying very close with Antonio Costa still leading the way. Further back here, Emily Milky still battling it out now with Zachary Nerney actually coming through with Max Poe and Dayton McGuire going through. Hugo Ortiz started in the pits and contact between Hugo. Looks like that is the Mustang going through of Max Poe, who has taken the contact there in the 048 and unfortunately is going to be dropping back. But Hugo, I'll tell you right now, that will probably be looked at after the race by race control. Thankfully there for Max, not more damage than needed as we go through, and Zach Nerney and Emily Milky side by side here, and Zach gets ahead of Emily clean as you please here. Emily taking the step up into the pro class and now battling it out with Zachary Nerney. We've seen Emily in pro, we've seen Emily in AM. Right now Emily, it looks like, just trying to go through. Hugo Ortiz trying to get his way down the inside there of Emily, doing just that. And well, traffic, I think, is going to be a name of the day.
Yes, the ancient proverb of elbows out racing here on PTR TV. Traffic giveth and traffic taketh away. And with this lap time being pretty short compared to the last race at Spa, where it saw traffic coming pretty late compared to most races on the calendar, it seems like it only took a few laps before traffic really kicked in at this stage of the race. So it'll be interesting to see now. This track is pretty wide, so you'll be able to get through traffic pretty easy on most circumstances, especially on the exit on Moss going down that massive Mario Andretti straightaway. But as we saw earlier, trying to get past some of these GT3 cars is a bit easier said than done sometimes with that incident with Poe and Ortiz earlier on in the race. So we'll just have to see how this one fares for a lot of these drivers. Paul Nye Sr., who's been having a fantastic race at the start as we are 5 minutes in. Antonio Costa, brisk as always around this track. He's been pretty consistent throughout most of the season. And I mean, the stats also pretty much just speak for themselves. Currently P2, only behind his teammate. So that is very nice to see, especially with this team dynamic that was introduced for the season. I mean, actually, as I look at the standings even further, Antonio Costa and Cody Peredato are so close that they have the exact same amount of points going into this race. So whoever finishes higher in this race will take the lead in the Drivers' Championship for LMP2.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting to kind of watch and see how they battle through as this continues. Get a little paint refresh going here, so apologies as the cars all go blank. Trying to make sure everyone has the right graphics on as Peter Nodwell is going through behind Paul Nye Sr. with third place Colin Bourdon following through not far behind here as we watch on board with Colin Bourdon, who is just trying to continue to battle and chase and give chase while it can be found here between Nodwell and Paul Nye Sr., who are both very, very close as they come down the backstretch here going through, or down the front stretch, down into turn one they go. And let's just kind of enjoy an onboard lap here for a second, continuing along and keeping things going up the hill, hard on the brakes, down to the inside, mind the curve, let the car wash out, and then late apex it through, out in, curve to the right, now come back to the left, send it back into the right, take just a little bit of curb on the inside if you need it there, and then let the car run wide going out, and then you're going to come in here down into the great run into Moss, and then, well, as you head towards Moss and around, here it is. And again, just watch what you do there. Paul Nye really slippery in that Mercedes AMG, and that McLaren coming through having a great run going out and about, and now continuing down the backstretch here, and you just sort of follow through and try to challenge, keep the battle alive as much as you can down around and then through the final couple of corners, and It's a really quick lap. LMPs are running 1:10 and GT3s are running 1:16. I mean, it's probably the quickest lap we're going to have all season. Again, as we go through, Antonio Costa up front, still holding on here, running through with Peridotto in second. As you said, these two are very much dominating, and that is Hugo Ortiz working his way around the leaders to get onto the tail end of the GT3 field.
Yeah, he's pretty much just trying to do a recovery drive, but he hasn't had the easiest of times trying to get past these GT3 cars, but now he's got past the last of them. Now he can continue chasing down the P8 overall in the LMP2 category. Hugo Ortiz trying to chase down Bob Carey. Got about over 25.5 seconds between him and the race leader. Or sorry, that's to the next car ahead. So yeah, Bob Carey, he's not really under pressure, but he's not close enough to really give pressure to anybody at the moment. Who is close enough to give pressure though is Eric Wineland in that Spike-themed LMP2, trying to chase his opponent down here, the P6 driver of Kjell Haugen, trying to go ahead and try to look for any opportunity here. These cars are very, very close. It's very easy to get a slipstream as there is a Mercedes that was a bit into the grass earlier on. And then as they make their way through Moss and now onto the Mario Andretti straightaway, now this is really a good chance to really make a good overtake because you're going to get such a good slipstream down the straight before you go into the sweeping right-hander leading to the S's. And yeah, this is a really quick lap, but this, I mean, it looks like the drivers are having fun out there.
If you're ever wondering how to like absolutely get me to love you as a driver, run a Spike Rexy or Roxy paint scheme. That is the easiest way to get me to love you. iRacing, hands down the best IMSA entry of a team that there is, and I'll argue that 7 days of the week and twice on Sunday. So yeah, if you ever want to get tons of screen time here on PTR TV, have a great paint scheme. And again, iRacing, I'm just saying, Spike, probably one of the favorite cars that I've watched here. Peter Nodwell still trying to chase down Paul Nye Sr. and get past. I'm not even going to say trying to chase. I'm just going to say trying to pass here. And, you know, for Paul Nye, his teammate Zachary Nerney back in P9 as we have a battle for second that's now flipped. Caleb Orzo has gotten through. Aiden Garcia is there. Antonio Costa. Oh no, what's happening, Antonio? Let's go. Let's get a quick replay. What happened to Antonio Costa here? Here's your replay. This is through Moss and actually locking it up there because I think Benjamin Bechtel took a little bit. I'm gonna say too much curb, but that's not at all what that was. And then race leaders coming through, and there's Antonio Costa spinning it, and unfortunately for Costa,
wow,
dropping well down the order.
How he didn't get hit there is beyond me. I thought there were several instances of him about to just get collected or accidentally collecting a few cars there. But yeah, Benjamin Bechtel running a bit wide, so that Porsche might have a little bit of damage here. As we suspected, that Porsche didn't take too much curb. It took a little too much BMW as it had that spin earlier. Now we have Julius here trying to fight. He's doing a pretty good job so far, but he does have some very hungry BMWs. The BMW of Tyler Stanek and his teammate just directly behind. These two cars are fighting side by side, and Brian Medley has a good view as his teammate goes ahead and jumps ahead of the McLaren for P4 on the track. And Tyler Stanek is doing a pretty good job here. He was a very strong competitor last season, a strong competitor this season, and now he's going to go ahead and try to chase down Carlo Bourdon, who is currently P3 in the number 184 Mercedes AMG GT3.
Yeah, you know, for Tyler, he was, you know, he ran the Mustang last season, and I think it just was one of those, you know, what's a good fit, what's not, do you want to try something different? And Tyler swapping over to the BMW, it's been very fruitful for him to kind of watch and see how that BMW's worked. He's been enjoying it here. Caleb Orzo down into third now as Aiden Garcia works by, as I mean, we're into the Hornet's nest at this point. We are well into the Hornet's nest of cars coming through. I mean, here it is. I don't know how else to say that, but here it is. This is This is the part that I fear going through. This is just, I mean, I don't even know what else to say here as we come through Moss. I mean, this is Malik Bass and Kel Hagen battling it out going through. And, I mean, mix Eric Wineland into this as well as they go. And you have GT3 traffic. I mean, I don't know what's worse right now to kind of say and see, because there's I don't know what else to say. Eric Wineland here side by side with Kel Hagen going through. The number 49 will see the position there to spike and will continue through. Coming around wide to the outside we go, and now watch the BMW there ahead as we go deep on the defensive there. The O2 does, and Eric Wineland able to hold off there for now in the run, as Antonio Costa is now trying to work his way past his BMWs behind. Yeah, I don't know what to say to that other than I do not know what to say to that right now. This is kind of crazy.
Yeah, this is like I-95 during rush hour, with just how many cars are just so tightly packed together like a can of Oreos as they continue to just fight tooth and nail for these positions. Kel Haugen wanting to reclaim that spot from Eric Wineland there in that spike liveried Orica 07 as they continue to try to go pedal to metal down the Andretti straightaway. He's going to see if he can shake for a move here. Pushing, and not quite enough. Did not get quite enough speed through that corner. And, I mean, he's trying his best. I'll give him that, but this track just throws corners at you so quickly that you pretty much have to adjust. And with this being such a short lap, it's only going to be like 3 corners before you see a massive swarm of GT3 cars that you have to kind of slide your way through, and there's a spin there.
And that
it looked like a spin at least.
That was a spin. I'm not sure who that was though. BMW in the mix, a Lamborghini in the mix. It looks like that was Mike Sermon, and I'm not sure who else that was. Possibly Matt Toppin, actually, as I try to get a good kind of tune in on who that was. And it was Matt Toppin coming through, and it was Mike Sermon going through, unfortunately spinning out there. Antonio, oh no, and right as the camera cuts, that is no, hold the brakes. Oh, goodness gracious me. So let's jump back to where that started with Mike Sermon. It was not there, it was here. So this is Matt Sermon, or Mike Sermon going through, and then Matt Toppin running a little bit wide there. That's with the 048. That is what kicked things off a little bit in that diet, right? Look at the avoidance from everyone as they go off track there. And then, well, for Matt Toppin, it went from bad to worse right there, as that is the rear of that car done and dusted, and just trying to nurse it into the pits at this point. Paul Nye Sr. here up front, still holding on to the lead in GT3 Pro. In GT3 EM, by the way, it's Ethan Murphy currently holding on here in the Titleist McLaren, just hanging out right behind Brian Metterly as they go through and around, and you know, just kind of looking at the track map where everything's at. I mean, everyone is just mixed up everywhere at this point. There are a lot of different drivers in a lot of different places all over the track, and I mean, this is just a smorgasbord of a race. Kind of pick where you want to look, and you're going to see a battle, you're going to see traffic, you're going to see problems, and you're probably going to see something absolutely terrifying and heart-stopping, but also fun at the same time.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of times where these LMP2 drivers piloting those very high-tech Delar machines that are called Orcas earlier on. I mean, I'm sure they've had quite a few code rounds, just because you never run into a singular GT3 car around this track, or honestly any track we've been at this season. Usually there are several very talented and very hard-fighting GT3 cars trying to battle for position while trying to still clear a path for these LMP2 drivers to go ahead and get through. And on some portion of this track, it just seems much easier said than done to really try to make a pass in general, let alone deal with traffic on this track. So maybe that's what the drivers were talking about last week, although I don't remember traffic really being mentioned, but I can see where traffic is such a crucial part of this race. I think traffic management is going to be the key to winning this race here. Just getting through the traffic and not colliding with another car. I think that is going to be a definite key to success, just because this is such a short lap. And pretty much every single lap for these LMP2s, they're going to run into a GT3 car, as Ethan Murphy is going to go ahead and let this LMP2 battle go through. It is Aiden Garcia and a very hard-charging Eric Wineland here. That spike machine on a Dragon's Fury level charge through this field, trying to get a podium spot.
Definitely, if you're going to run a spike livery, you have to be prepared to battle for a podium at least. Of course, iRacing Spike defending IMSA, or Rexy defending IMSA champions from 2024, but Spike as well defending race winner multiple times over. So you got to be prepared to do that justice here. Jonathan Lanton in second place, little ways back here from Ethan Murphy, but looking very smooth and consistent up front. It's still just pressure all the way around. I mean, at this point, things have sort of hit a breathing point, but it's sort of just hit a point where traffic has stalled out the battles, as they've really got to work their way around the GT3 cars more than they do each other here. Eric Weinland trying to go down the inside there of, I believe that is Julius Mashevsky there ahead, gets through. And now Eric Weinland can set off to face Aiden Garcia. We'll see if that actually happens as the gap closes and continues. We're only 20 minutes, and actually we're not even 20 minutes into this race. We're 18 minutes into this race, and well, you can see just how crazy things have been here as we come down into turn one, continuing along, and out through turn two we go with this run here as they, again, just right into the traffic. And Tyler Stenick, no delay, no hesitation, no breathing room to be given. It's just battle upon battle upon battle that is just not going to let up this race. I want to like this track, but my problem is, especially, I mean, if you think about it, we've only got 38 cars on track here, and this just seems like an absolute traffic jam. Like, I don't know how you focus on a battle in class whenever you really are having to focus on just carving through traffic at this point. Like, once we got through the first 5 minutes, this sort of just turned into, again, just interstate gridlock.
I mean, I can see this track being really fun in a single-seater car, but when you have multi-class like this, I can exactly see where you're coming from. I mean, this track, it's good for racing, but when you have so many cars on this smaller track, I think the only track that we have on the calendar with a sub 1 minute lap time, but it's compact. I mean, you pretty much got everybody packed in very tightly, like a subway in the middle of New York. Trying to just even move an inch on this track is way easier said than done. So we're going to see a lot of slipstream battles here, and this is definitely going to be a massive race of just pure focus. If you lose focus for one singular millisecond, you're going to get caught up into traffic, and that's your race pretty much just done and dusted. If you're one of these LMP2 cars, you really need to just try to get past the traffic at any moment possible. You might even have to do some Daniel Ricciardo-esque late braking moves to try to even just clear the traffic, let alone try to jump an opponent in class. And the GT3 cars don't really have it much easier either, because they're on the opposite side of that coin. They pretty much have to be checking their mirrors, mostly for the LMP2s versus fighting in their own class. So it's definitely a race where focus is paramount.
So to give you an idea, the entire GT3 field has already been lapped at least once, and they're already working on their second time through the field here. As we hop on board with Cody Perodato, I mean, you can see clean track in front of Cody. So Cody has gotten through the entire GT3 field once now, and is now just working clean track here to try to get to the first GT3, which is going to be Philip here, who you can see is going down the backstretch as Cody is going through Moss Corner here, and now we'll start charging through. So that is kind of where the field spread is. I mean, at this point, you are what you are, and, you know, it's kind of unfortunate to sort of see this be the position that we're in, but it is where we're at, and it's really just a case of attrition here. again, I know this track gives great racing and can be really fun, but right now it's just sort of, I think, surviving at this point. And also, can you imagine, we're only running this for 60 minutes here in the Lay of the Lumber 60. Can you imagine running this for like a 6-8 hour race? It'd be absolute chaos here. So we see Antonio Costa, who is still trying to put some pressure on Malik Bass and get through into P5. Eric Wineland here up ahead, who is trying to hold pace there with Aiden Garcia, as Antonio Costa is just continuing to be right in the mix here and really work through. Down the hill we go. Doing a great job, I'll have to say, going for that late dive, as you talked about, coming down towards Moss. Costa is going to look left, look right, look left again, not able to find anything underneath the Continental Bridge, heading down the hill, the left-hander here. Now down into Moss Corner we go, and look there, is actually going to make the dive down the inside. Can you make this pass? Stick side by side here, down the back straightaway we're going to go, and watch through as you go. Can you fight this through, or will Antonio Costa have to back out? Hold on, and backs out of it wisely, going in. Didn't think the room was going to be there. Probably agree with that decision, and will back out, hold on, and live to fight another lap.
Yeah, I think that last sentence that you just said pretty much just going to sum up this race. Live to fight another lap. And we're seeing that definitely here as Malik Bass still trying to fend off Antonio Costa here. We know Antonio Costa is a very rapid driver, as Paul Nye Sr. is battling a rapid driver of his own, and Peter Nodwell just behind in that McLaren, going down into turn number 1, and then making their way to Clayton Corner, turn 2, as they make their way going through the sweeping left-hander, going on the very short one to the Quebec Corner, aptly named because they are in Canada at the moment, and then they make their way to Moss, which is the tightest corner on this racetrack here. And I mean, it's pretty much, if you get a good exit on this corner, you're going to have a fantastic opportunity to try to get a good overtake on the massive straight going down to the S's. They make their way through Moss, and after we've seen Paul Nye Sr. really excel at this corner, but with Peter Nodwell staying so close to the back of that Mercedes, can he make a move in the McLaren? He's going to drag race him down the straight. Is he going to think about a move? I don't think he's got enough real estate to make a sensible move here, which he does not. He pretty much just waits, and Paul Nye Sr. keeps the lead going. And he's pretty much never really had to give up that lead at any point during this race. Now, something we haven't quite talked about yet in this race that I think is really going to throw everybody through a loop is when we hit that pit stop time. Because I know with pit stops, you want to generally avoid traffic, but you can't avoid traffic no matter where you go on this track.
I hadn't even thought about pit stop cycles. I'm so glad you brought that up. I hadn't even thought about it, and that is going to just absolutely throw this race for a loop. So I hope someone else has thought about the pit stop cycles, because I certainly have not. I don't see that anyone has pit yet, so that is a good sign, right? Maybe. Well, Matt Toppin's actually pit, but I don't see that anyone else has, so that's going to certainly make things interesting here in just a little bit as we go through. Checking in with GT3 AMs here really quick as we follow through with our class leader in GT3 AMs. Let's see here. They have sort of spread out a little bit and sort of stabilized. Still looking pretty good, but they've just sort of, hit a point where I think with the traffic of LMP2, it's sort of carved out the gap here. Shea Perkins is the first car into the pits and will go through 26.5 seconds in the box as we've come to expect. And we'll go around and out. But yeah, kind of looking at, again, where these GT3 AM gaps are, they've really mixed, spread out a little bit with the battle of traffic playing in there. So I think GT3 AM, it'll be a little bit more hard pressed for them than it would be for the GT3 Pros or LMP2s. Up front, still Paul Nye Sr., Nodwell, Bourdon battling it out for the top spot in GT3 Pro. We'll see what they get here. Antonio Costa is still right on the back of Malik Bass, but Antonio Costa is into the pit lane here.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, it's really hard to get a read on strategy on this track just because, I mean, regardless if you go for the undercut or the overcut, you're going to end up right back in the middle of traffic. So, I mean, yeah, because usually with some tracks, the undercut is better. Like, I think Spa is a good example of the undercut really working to perfection. But, I mean, it's really hard to get a read on this track when it comes to the just when you should take a pit stop. Should you go for an overcut? Should you go for an undercut? Yeah, it's just tricky as we see Antonio Costa face to reality, aka the BMW safety car. He's back out on track, back in P9. And I think that might have been the best call for him personally, just because, I mean, he's only behind one GT3 car, and that's Paul Nye Sr. And these two have raced together several races now, most times in actually different categories. So, but once again, not even a good spot for a driver who we know is quick. I mean, Antonio Costa is tied for the lead in this championship right now with 99 points alongside his teammate. But even he couldn't get past Paul Nye Sr. And there he is. No, that was actually Zachary Nerney. That was the other Coke Mercedes. He goes for a bit of a slide, and Antonio Costa, just those cold tires, just not warming up the way he would have wanted to.
That's the issue with this track being 60 seconds long, and the fact that you have to take tires and elbows out. Don't forget that that is a requirement here to take the 4 tires on the pit stop. You can't just pit in for fuel like, you know, some drivers may want to do. They may just want to pit in for fuel and be done with it. You have to take 4 tires. So you're going to have to fight the tire warm up, which makes things very, very scary at times here. So we'll watch as more drivers are in. Chris Stewart's in, Martin Merkva is in, going through. Here's Nathan Hemperly, 4th in GT3 AM, going through. Aiden Garcia is currently in a battle with Malik Bass, going side by side. And you got to wonder, when you're in a situation like this, you know, if you're having troubles getting past the guy ahead, would you benefit more from going ahead and taking your pit stop? If you're Antonio Costa, I mean, the answer may be no there, honestly, as it went through, as you saw, kind of the effect of cold tires and where it found itself. So as those two battle, I want to watch Chris Stewart come out of the pits here. As Chris Stewart is exiting through, let's see how cold tires act on the GT3s. They tend to have a little bit better of a tire warm-up run as they go. So let's just watch Chris Stewart here for about half a lap, 3/4 of a lap, and see how things go for Chris.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to kind of see how this one does play out, because we saw earlier for Antonio Costa, it didn't really work super duper well. So, yeah, bit of a interesting, I mean, this track in general has been very intriguing. This has probably been, in terms of just trying to figure everything out, this is probably one of the hardest tracks to kind of diagnose what strategy is going to work, just because of the density of the traffic here. I mean, it looks like the GT3s are having a bit of a better run of it when it comes to the cold tires than this man right here, Antonio Costa. I mean, the LMP, the prototypes in general seem to have a bit of a tougher time with tire warm-up, because we even saw with the GTPs last season that tire warm-ups were a bit of a struggle for the cars, although recently they did get a tire patch, at least before, at least during the middle of last season, or I think a little bit before last season kicked off, there was a bit of a LMP tire change. But yeah, so tire changing on these prototypes just seems to be a bit trickier to get those tires warmed up. But don't tell that to these drivers, because these drivers are fighting tooth and nail as these two drivers come into the pits.
Paul Nye Sr. into the pits here from the lead of GT3 Pro, and then in GT3 AM, we've also had our leaders into the pits here, mixing things up. So GT3 is very much saying 30 minutes is the mark and where they want to pit in. LMP2s opting to stay out a little bit longer, unless you're Eric Wineland here, as Spike has decided to need a break here and hit in. Let's see here where everyone comes out and what they do. Paul Nye Sr. already back on the road, 21 and a half seconds in the box, 40 seconds in the lane. Just as we would expect, nothing too crazy. Good pit time there. And Paul will come out, and again, we don't expect anything too wild to happen here for Paul Nye Sr. The GT3 is doing really well on their tire warm-up very quickly here. Eric Wineland, though, I want to watch Eric and see what happens here for Spike, as Eric's already got that wheel hooked to the left, is ready to go, just waiting on that little bit of extra fuel to go in. And it was a long stop, though, 31 seconds in the box and 50 seconds in the lane. So Eric losing a little bit of time there, not sure what that might be to, but let's see how the tire warm-up goes for Eric Wineland coming down into turn number 2, and looks like keeping things fairly together going down through, and let's see here, in through 3, looking fairly okay. Definitely a little bit slower through turn 3. Maybe knows what happened to Costa there and is just going to kind of tiptoe through, which I would not blame. Malik Bass also is into the pits from P4 in LMP2 category. Let's see here, Eric Wineland looking much better through Moss. So I think, unfortunately for Antonio Costa, definitely showing that it was just a bit of an error there from Costa, as Costa is there behind Eric. Eric with that long pit stop, and we'll try to close in time as they go. We'll see what happens there, as Callan Tobin is trying to chase down Brian Medley.
Yeah, so this is a very good battle here for the last podium spot in GT3 Pro. Brian Medley. And then, I mean, he's been having a good race himself, too. I mean, I know we haven't talked a lot about Brian, but his race has been absolutely phenomenal at this stage of the race. But now he's going to come into the pit, so he's calling it. He's going to get some new tires in. So we'll see how this affects the GT3 field, as Callan Tobin now inherits P2, but he's quite a ways away from class leader Colin Bortolli. That Mustang takes that grass way better than I thought it would, and it didn't seem like he really lost a lot. There is a LMP2 just directly behind. That is, I believe, Kale Orzo's, and a very crazy looking delivery there in that LMP2. Yeah, it's I don't know, I get like Rio de Janeiro vibes from it, from the number 90, but I mean, this is his first race in Elbows Out, but getting a podium on your debut race is pretty fantastic. And actually, if you think back to the beginning round at Daytona, Jamil Gummer got a win on his debut. So, I mean, anything can happen here at Elbows Out.
Yeah, Jamil Gummer, don't think we've seen Jamil since, but definitely had a great run early on here. So wouldn't surprise me a bit from what they were talking to us about pre-race. Kale's supposed to be pretty quick, so won't surprise me a bit to kind of see Kale have a great run. We'll see what happens. It's whole chaos waiting to happen. This is Malik, Eric, and Costa going through. That is a moment for that is not Medley, that is not Stewart. Who was that Mustang involved in that? That was Max Poe, who came around and out, and that is the danger of traffic. Unfortunately, that is kind of where we find ourselves. As Martin Merckx is going through, Brian Medley will be the BMW a little bit ahead. For Malik Antonio, that is just what happens here, is the O2 of Spike. Eric Wineland here will drop down 2 seconds back off of this battle. Again, that's just how tight this circuit is. There's not a lot of room for anyone at any time.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky because, I mean, you can get stuck behind a GT3 car if you're one of these LMP2s to no fault on either side, really. It's just how this track is laid out and how short this track is. You just can't really get past. I mean, this track does look wider than it actually is on the racing line. So you'll just have to really just kind of pick your moment and just go for it. I mean, the best spot to obviously try to overtake this lap traffic is obviously the straight, just on the exit of Moss. But I mean, sometimes when you have two GT3 cars battling in front of you, even then that becomes easier said than done. You have to get around the Great Wall of GT3s just to even continue to fight here in LMP2. And I mean, I already have a ton of respect for these LMP2 drivers and the GT3s as well, obviously. But I mean, traffic navigation on this track it just does not look fun. And I'd be really curious to get the opinions and just get the perspectives from the drivers after the race to kind of see how they feel about the traffic management in this race, as we see former class leader Christopher Ondera going ahead and making a stop from the lead of GT3 AM and the number 79 McLaren.
Yeah, so Ondera's into the pits here, and I'll tell you right now that I think the general answer for all of our drivers about this track is going to be a very mixed bag of worms, just depending on where we look at. Looking at the drivers that have not pit currently, so Christian words, just English, it's hard. Christian Cardona has not pit and is currently leading in GT3 AM. Pause for 2 seconds on this conversation because Colin Bourdon and Paul Nye Sr. are going side by side for the lead in GT3 Pro. Side by side, the two Mercedes go. Where they stop, well, I'll tell you what, when Colin Bourdon runs it a little bit wide there through the corner, that is going to be where that battle shuts down, as Tyler Stenick in third is right there on the mix as well. Peter Nodwell not far behind. Big wiggle there from Bourdon, and Bourdon will have to pull all the way down to the inside, give way. That will let Stenick through. Stenick is going to try to chase down Paul Nye, and Colin Bourdon in the space of about 4 corners has went from first to third. And watch Peter Nodwell, because Peter Nodwell is not going to be nodding off in this run. Peter Nodwell is going to be very much in a position here to have a challenge as well. So I don't know what Colin Bourdon did in that pit stop, but that car is not handling near as well as it was before he pit, as he is struggling and is about to drop to 4th.
Well, he's not the only driver in this race to kind of struggle after the pit stop. Antonio Costa hasn't really been on that same pace since his pit stop either, so interesting thing to kind of note. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate for these drivers, and it's really heartbreaking when your car feels like it's on fire. You're pretty much making moves, you're going to the field, you're having excellent battles, and then you make a pit stop. And suddenly it's just like your brain turned off and you just can't remember how to drive properly. I mean, obviously that's not the case. We know these drivers are very talented, but that's just how it feels sometimes when you're in that position. It's like, okay, did I forget how to take the corner or something? It's just, it can be demoralizing sometimes when you have that pit stop just not go the way you wanted it to.
Yeah, and kind of looking at it, it's really interesting because what's happened, I think, is that the drivers, when they run through, you get very used to how the car feels at the end of a stint and kind of driving to the limitations of the car, the tire, the grip, etc., etc. And you end up in a weird position where when you pit, that kind of just gets reset, and sometimes your brain just doesn't reset to it right away. So you end up in a weird position where it's kind of where you're at. And that's where we see drivers like Christian Cardona who will stay out, even though, Christian Cardona is down on time. Last lap was a 1:16.3, and Ethan Murphy's last lap was a 1:15.8, second place here in GT3 AM. But Christian Cardona probably feels a lot more comfortable with how the car is handling right now and doesn't want to pit yet and kind of, reset that run. Also, leading some laps is always nice to be up in the front here, as we see Julius Mashevsky go through, and then Zachary Nerney will be not far behind, as that is Antonio Costa, I believe. Actually, no, that is not Antonio Costa. That is, if I can click on the right cars here, there's Malik Bass going through, and then Hugo Ortiz is up here. So yeah, this is how shuffled up the field is, by the way, if you were wondering just how shuffled it is. That's actually our race leader, Cody Peridotto, making his way through and around Zachary Nerney and Cardona and Julius Mashevsky going through, and then going to set off to chase down Callan Tobin in the 923 Mustang. That's kind of just where things are at. Top 4 in LMP2 have not hit as well, along with Christian Cardona. So that is Cody Peridotto, Cale Orzo, who is now working his way there past Mashevsky. Aiden Garcia and Kel Hagen have not hit either. So that is where we are at in terms of who's pit, who hasn't. Zachary Nerney is trying to actually get around Christian Cardona here. This is not a battle for class position, but it is a battle nonetheless here, as Nerney looks very frustrated in that Mercedes there. Zachary Nerney hasn't, I don't want to say hasn't been on the run that I would expect out of that Coke Zero Mercedes, but that's also what happens when you're sponsored by Coke Zero and not Diet Coke.
Sometimes I wonder if there really is a difference, and I know for a fact that there is a difference, but yeah, I mean, Zachary Nerney, he hasn't really had the greatest of seasons here. I mean, he was doing very solid when he was driving the BMW last season, but this season it's just not really been his time. I mean, he's currently 8th in the standings in his class, so I mean, he's not doing super terrible, but he is 48 points off the leader, only 1 point actually behind Martin Merkva. He's got 59 points and the car ahead just has 60. So, but I mean, definitely not where Zachary Nerney really wants to be at this stage of the championship. So, I mean, there's still quite a few races after this where he can turn it around, but right now, that Coke Zero is going from 0 to 0 at this point.
Battle now shaping up here as drivers have pit in. Cody Perodato pit in, Kel Orzo pit in, and this is where we are at with Kale, as Cody Perodato is the car ahead coming down through, and let's see how they run on the pit stop exit coming out of turn 2, down and around through, in towards Moss, and hard on the brakes, uphill right-hander, and it looks like at the moment at 51 doing decent here. Kale trying to go through the big wiggle on the exit of Moss and is trying to hold on. Will continue along. Thankfully was able to catch that there for the moment, but is going to lose significant time. The gap now falling to almost a second, and that is how important the exit of Moss is, though. If you don't set that up right, you're going to lose so much time coming around down and through, as we see them come through the chicane now, down in through turn 10, and then they will bring their way down the start-finish stretch for another run, as we now have Kel into the pits as well, dropping time, and Cody Perodato will take his lead back after just one lap, not in the lead, trying to carve through traffic very quickly.
Yeah, Cody Perodato. Oh, there's a LMP2 that's spun off in the background, it appears. I'm not sure who that was, but Cody Perodato needs to be... Oh, it is Kale. Kale Orzo's spinning around. Yeah, so here's a replay. Oh, he just lost it on his own. I mean, that LMP2... Oh, wow. That car just shattered like someone throwing a bunch of Legos at a wall. I mean, that thing just deconstructed. He would definitely be winning the Deconstructors Championship if we had that here at Elbows Out Racing. Yikes. I mean, he was trying to keep up with his rival of Cody Perodato, who trying to get through the traffic became Cody Pasadato. And yeah, just kind of lost it. I mean, we saw even on the last lap on the exit of Moss, that LLP2 looked very squirrely.
And yeah, that was just a hard snap. It got out from under Kale. Kale slides left, and then the car just completely snaps right. I mean, absolutely nothing Kale could do on that one. Hugo Ortiz looks like may have had a moment as well, as Hugo has dropped all the way back here to Bob Carey and is going through. For Kale, I mean, that's a hard-fought run there, and unfortunately ends up kind of... I have a lot of high hopes for Kale if Kale sticks around for the rest of the season, which I definitely think Kale will, is Kel Hagen. And Malik Bass is Kel Hagen has become our next victim here with 14 minutes to go, and we'll have to drop well out of the way here as you see Spike going through. And what happened to Kel? Well, let's get a quick replay of that. And it looks like for Kel, it's the same fate, left to right, that caused that moment as we go back to live pictures here. Spike works his way through. So it looks like here with about 14 minutes to go, a lot of drivers are starting to find this tricky here, and it looks like a lot of left to right snaps are happening, which is such a weird thing to see here, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be one thing if we were seeing that pretty much throughout the entirety of the race. But as we're down to under 15 minutes left to go in this race, is now when we are really starting to see it quite consistently in at least LMP2s, and I'm sure there's been a few instances of it sort of at least starting to happen in the GT3 field as well. But yeah, it's a bizarre thing to kind of witness on this track, because I feel like if this was something that was just known for the track, then we would have been seeing it throughout the entire duration of this race, but we really haven't seen that until now. So I wonder why that is, because typically the more running you get on a track, the grippier the track gets, but around here it feels like the opposite. It feels like it's just we've been getting slipperier as we go further and further, deeper and deeper into this race. I mean, there's 13 minutes left to go, and this track, for some cars, just feel like it's an ice rink.
Yeah, and you can see that sometimes depending on, how weather goes. As more rubber gets laid down, things can get slipperier. But, I mean, if you look at the track conditions, it's 80 degrees on the track, and that's nowhere near hot enough to really cause any sort of rubber laying down, getting things slippery here. You know what? I think 12 minutes left to go. I think it's time for some temporarily loud engines. Let's see who we can pick out here. Let's run on board with Cody Peridotto here for a few moments. We're going to step away for a second. Enjoy some temporarily loud engines, ladies and gentlemen. We will be right back momentarily. Don't go anywhere, and we'll take you through the last few minutes of this race. All right, and that was several very quick laps here around this CTMP circuit here for the Layla Lumber 60 here and Elbows Out, brought to you by International Decorators Inc. Check out www.4idi.com to learn more. As we go through and around here, let's watch and check in here back in the background. Paul Nye Sr., who is currently setting P2 in class, 1.9 seconds down on Tyler Stenick. He's currently trying to fight off Colin Bourdon here, having a run towards the end of this race as we go along, and continue to, just battle out where they can. We were just talking here, Patrick, off air about the racing on this track. It's been kind of interesting, and it seems like it's genuinely, we talk about survival of the fittest and surviving traffic. But this track has been the epitome of that at this point, that it genuinely is a case of you better be able to survive getting through traffic, or you're just not going to have a good time.
Yeah, and honestly, the sentence you said earlier on in this race where it's, fight to survive another lap is pretty much the main sentiment in this race. Because, getting past traffic here is tricky because these cars, like we also talked about off air, the cars are really balanced around this track, so some sectors really do benefit these GT3 cars in comparison to the LMP2s. So trying to get past traffic is much easier said than done on this circuit. So yeah, it's been an interesting one to say the least. It's really been, and I know we said this last week when we had 90 minutes of Spa, but this has definitely been a race of attrition, pure concentration, focus, pace, and most importantly, traffic management.
Yeah, if there was ever an epitome of multi-class racing, it's definitely going to be this track, this run here. LMP2s have spread out quite a bit. Cody Perodato currently in the lead by 14 seconds and gaining over Aiden Garcia. I said gaining, and now it's actually went down by a second here as Cody Perodato is actually lapping other LMP2s at this point. That is the 280 of Bob Carey, who he's now put a lap down. So Cody Perodato with enough demand control on the field to start lapping into LMP2s. Only 6 cars still actually on the same lap as our leader, Bob Carey, Kel Orzo, and Antonio Costa down a lap. And then everyone, Stenick, Nye Sr., Bourdon, Nodwell down 2 laps. Everyone behind that is down 3 laps or more from our race leader. Here is Tyler Stenick, and then here actually is Peter Nodwell, and just behind Peter is actually Cody Perodato. So we're getting ready to have all of the GT3s down 3 laps here with 6 minutes to go as they continue to try to battle it out for P2 in class here. And it does look like Nodwell is going to lose quite a bit of time here, having to move through and let by Cody Perodato, and that is going to mix things up a little bit and kind of negate that battle. And now we'll see as Cody Perodato comes through around past Colin Bourdon. That's going to open that gap up. We'll see if it compresses any once Cody Perodato gets past Paul Nye. And it will not, because Cody gets past Paul Nye in a much better place. So that gap will maintain about half a second at the moment here. Let's see if Colin can get past here, Paul Nye going down the backstretch.
Just from the way that the straight is kind of constructed, that you would think this would be a really good chance to really get a good slipstream and then make them overtake here at the end of the straight. But so far we haven't really seen a lot of that. The slipstream just doesn't seem to be super effective here. Especially when you have an LMP2 car just getting a bit more of that slipstream, trying to go ahead and make up some positions and try to get past these slower GT3 cars. But as we just saw there, it's not super easy. We see the LMP2 trying to get past Paul Nye Sr. there. Finally gets through, but it took a few corners. So, it is so difficult to pass traffic on this circuit here in Canada at the first permanent motorsports facility in the country. As we see these drivers really just try to make anything happen, but it's so tricky. You have the dirty air coming through the sweeping corners. And then on the straight, you pretty much have an LMP2 breathing down your neck most of the time. But these drivers are persevering. We have just a little over 4 minutes left to go. So we're probably going to get about 4 remaining laps just about. But, I mean, I don't really see any major position changes happening. Colin Bourdon might be able to get past Paul Nye Sr., but once again, the slipstream hasn't been super effective for a lot of these GT3 cars.
It really hasn't here. You can see that with Colin Bourdon really kind of stuck in position here at the moment, continuing to sort of hold through, and just not a lot that can be done here going through, and it's kind of stalled several battles out. One battle that's not stalled out here is Brian Metterly trying to get past Emily Milky, who is in that black and white, sort of mesmerizing McLaren, I have to say. Definitely holding on there back in the back. That is going to be Hugo Ortiz in the LMP2 that's approaching here, but you can see Brian Metterly in that BMW. I mean, I don't know how hard you have to look in that Fair Enough Racing BMW. Look left, look right, look up, look down, look all the way around. I mean, just not able to get past. I mean, within 0.2 of a second going down the backstretch here, but just not close enough to actually get the pass to stick. As you can see there, that 072 of Hugo Ortiz will dive to the left, be able to squeeze around. And just continue to sort of go, and again, that just sort of sets up, and watch Brian here take a different line to Emily, trying to find a way past, not able to. Again, we'll set up the alternate line out of the corner exit. Let's see if this is enough to give anything down through turn 1, and unfortunately it doesn't look like it's going to be, and that's within 0.2 of a second here. You have a 1/10.5 now between Colin Bourdon and Paul Nye Sr. as we jump in with them, and they're still not able to get past. So it's just been very, very stalled out here with under 2 minutes, or with just about 2 minutes to go. I mean, your chances of passing are very limited right now.
Yeah, it's pretty much just make or break at this time. You pretty much just either go for that move that's extremely risky, and it's about a 50-50 chance of you wrecking out and just ending your race in the most heartbreaking fashion ever, or you just kind of sit there content and just accept your fate as getting P3 in the case of Colin Bourdon, especially as Aiden Garcia goes through the pack in his number 799 LMP2. But I mean, Colin Bourdon is going to try his best to try to get it moved done, because really he's got one more tour of this track after this. The white flag should theoretically fall at the end of this lap for, I think, both classes. Maybe LMP2s might get another one, but yeah, so this is no white flag this time. Next tour will be white flag for Peronato. But yeah, this is not been an easy track to pass on.
Not at all here. Cody Peronato coming through past that battle between Emily Milky and Brian Metterly that we were watching earlier, working through, and Cody getting very wide there. Kind of scared me for a second, but able to control the car. So we do essentially get a bonus lap of this track that I wasn't expecting to get here as we go through and around. Times out just perfectly, and Cody gets past Metterly without too much issue, squeezes around, and will run through. So for him, it's been a good run. Paul Nye Sr. losing several positions there, dropping down behind Colin Bourdon and Peter Nodwell. That's going to tell me that unfortunately, I believe Paul Nye the Donut Guy had some sort of a moment and dropped down. I haven't seen too many incidents trigger, honestly, throughout this event, so it's been kind of impressive to see not nearly as many incidents as I was expecting. Now, will Cody Peronato hit the line and give us a bonus lap, or will Cody Peronato slow it down and take the checkered flag? 5 seconds on the clock as Peronato goes through. We will get one additional run, one final lap of this track from Peronato to get to run this thing out. And I mean, this is what you call just domination. 14 seconds in the lead here, nobody behind, clean track ahead. Cody Peronato just kind of gets to take a victory lap.
He does, yeah. And I mean, it's been a very well-driven race from him. He's going to definitely take that lead in the Drivers' Championship after just being tied with his teammate. So, I mean, he'll be the first driver of the season to break into that 100-point range for the LMP2 drivers. So that's a very, so that's a good thing for him. And I mean, but still, so far, I believe in the team standings, it is still domination for Peridotto and Costa, but Costa just did not have the race he wanted, but this man did. Cody Peridotto is about to come across the line here very, very shortly and claimed victory once again here at Elbows Out Racing. He's got one more corner left to navigate, and that is his race done and dusted. Checker flag for Peridotto.
Peridotto with a beautiful win there in dominating fashion, I must say. Tyler Stenick will bring him across the line here again. The tale of two teammates has kind of been the story of Elbows Out. One teammate does great, one teammate maybe not near as well, as we will see Tyler Stenick move out of the way, go through, and Tyler Stenick will come across the line to win in GT3 Pro here in Elbows Out around CTMP. Ethan Murphy just now coming through Moss Corner, currently in the lead of the GT3 AMs by 1 second. Does look like Ethan Murphy will have a great run here to the line as well. Let's see if there is anything behind from Jonathan Lanton here, another BMW in second place, and see if Jonathan has anything additional to give over the back third of this lap. Great runs from some teammates, bad run from others, but in the end, it has been a great move from everyone here. As we see Ethan Murphy coming around final corner now to cross the line and win GT3 AM in Elbows Out Racing League here in the Layla Lumber 60 at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park with a great run through there.
Yeah, I mean, this has really just been a race of attrition, and Cody Peridotto making some very nice Canadian donuts here, probably topped off with maple syrup. But, I mean, it's been a fantastic race for these drivers. It's been a race of attrition, and your skills in traffic management were definitely tested here tonight.
That they were. As we pull up our full screen results here, Cody Peridotto wins the Lay the Lumber 60 here after 51 laps of racing. We got that bonus lap with like 4 seconds to go. Aiden Garcia in second, Malik Bass in third, Eric Wineland, Kel Hagen, Hugo Ortiz, Bob Carey, Kel Oros, Antonio Costa in ninth. And then from there we go P10, P10, No, we only had 9 drivers. That's why there's no P10. There you go.
I was just about to say,
that's a me problem.
There's only
all right.
9.
And in GT3, it was Tyler Stenick, Colin Bourdon, Peter Nodwell, Callan Tobin, Julius Machewski, Zachary Nerney, Paul Nye Sr., Chris Stewart, Martin Merkva, Brian Metroley, Emily Milkey, and Mike Sermon, the 12 GT3 pros. In GT3 AM, Murphy, Lanton, Ondera, Hemperly, McGuire, Chiapuzzo, Vosselman, Cardona, Bechtel, Tui. And then from there, it was Keyser, Perkins, Moore, Hibbs, Poe, Toppin, and well, you see Tyler C down in P17, unfortunately. But you know what? Such a great run from everyone here. What do you think about us going and having a chat with our race winner of Cody Peridotto? If Cody is around, let's see. Do we have Cody available to chat? I do see Cody Peridotto, so let's chat with Cody Peridotto, who should be getting pretty used to talking to us up here in the booth. Cody, how's it going?
Pretty good. Better now.
Why does that not surprise me for some reason that it's going better after a good win? I got to ask, so you were getting in a very close championship battle before. Obviously, winning is going to put you in an amazing position. How does it feel?
Feels good. I mean, I'm mostly just happy to get through the race alive. It was really scary in a lot of spots. There's lots of traffic here, even with a few less people. So I was just happy to finish.
How did you feel coming into the race about the traffic? Because the traffic, I mean, it was such a contention point for us up here in the booth. Were you was it easier, harder? Kind of, where was it compared to what you expected?
It was about what I expected, which was really terrifying. I didn't get much running before the race around traffic, and I knew from the little bit of practice we did that it would be really, really scary being near other cars. So it was as scary as I imagined, but managed to get through it in the end somehow.
Next week, we're going to go to Road America, which I I would argue is also going to be a scary track. Are you thinking that traffic is going to be a problem as well next week, or how are we feeling about Road America compared to CTMP?
Much better. I mean, the long straights will help a lot for us. Here, it's just so much high speed corners that barely have two lines you can take through them. So I think having more straights will be helpful. There's a few spots that'll be worrisome, but I think we'll be a little bit more streamlined getting through traffic next week.
Absolutely. And Cody, before we let you go, anyone you want to thank, anyone you want to shout out, the floor is yours.
I want to thank my teammate Costa for putting in a flying fast lap at the end there to get that extra point for the team. I want to thank my dad for watching these most of the weeks. So he just did really good at a bike race this weekend. So congrats to him.
Awesome, Cody. Congrats on the win, man. And we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
All right, Patrick, do you want to talk to Ethan Murphy, the winner of GT3, and do you want to talk to Tyler Stenick, the winner of GT3 Pro?
Let's just go in order, and I'll talk to the GT3 Pro winner.
All right, Tyler, come on in. And Patrick, I'll let you chat with him here for a moment.
What's going on, guys?
All right. Well, the question that we just asked Cody Paradato was, how did you feel about traffic around this track? Because it was, I mean, we talked about it a bunch here because, I mean, we got the perspective from an LMP driver. I just want to talk to a GT3 driver about traffic from your perspective because it felt like you couldn't even have a battle without having an LMP2 just breathing down your neck at most parts of the race.
Yeah, traffic was a little harder to deal with on this track. It's always kind of known for that, especially with the GT3s, especially with the new tire model. Like with ARBs, the cars are so snappy if you don't hit the corner perfectly and if you trail brake too much. So it's super important to hit a certain line to keep the car from going off the track. So dealing with traffic, there was a couple times it got really frustrating. I probably flashed when I shouldn't have, but I mean, I somehow survived and made it through. Just try to give people as much room and try to anticipate the moves they were going to make. But there was times, I mean, even just running with normal GT3s, everyone's so close, the dirty air is just is not a recipe for fun on this track at all.
Yeah, so I mean, it was kind of interesting to watch just because, I mean, there's a lot of times, even a lot of sectors where GT3 cars seem to kind of have an edge when it comes to trying to get positions as opposed to the LMP2s. But heading to Road America next time out, how do you feel about that track?
I like Road America. It's a fun track. I'm hoping the BMW does as well as it did on this track. I'm still struggling on straight line speed, but it'll be fun. I think it'll be probably a little better traffic wise because there'll be a lot more straightaways, a lot more room for passing. But it should be fun. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fun to see the evolution of you adjusting to that BMW as opposed to the Mustang from last season. Before we let you go, anybody you want to go ahead and shout out or thank?
Shout out to my wife who's currently fighting some kind of flu or something, so she let me step away and do some racing. Shout out to Brian, my teammate. He had some unlucky pit exit, but I appreciate the delivery and always having a good teammate with me. And Paul and you guys broadcast like always, and always put on an awesome show. And like I said, it's always a highlight of my week.
All right, well, thank you so much, and best of luck next week at Road America.
Thank you guys. See you.
And that's going to leave just Ethan Murphy to talk to here. Ethan, welcome
What's going on,
in.
guys?
Congrats on the win, man. How you feeling?
Feeling great, man. Appreciate it. My first win in elbows out. Super excited about it. It was a tricky one. Almost got away from me at the end. Not sure if you guys caught that in the, I think, second to last or third to last lap. Had a spin out of Moss Corner. Jonathan closed the gap down to half a second, but was able to hold on to it.
Man, it was so much fun to watch you run through. I got to ask you, as a GT3 AM, you had the pros who were all kind of feisty there. And then, of course, you had the LMP2 traffic that was absolutely ridiculous. How do you balance that out in GT3 AM, kind of the battle between everyone?
Yeah, man, it's tricky, especially around this track. I mean, I was fortunate enough to just kind of get stuck in the toe of the pros ahead and get in too many battles, lose too much time. But yeah, the LMP2 is going around. It gets a little bit sketchy. The line's a lot different for those high downforce cars and these really fast corners. And it gets, on the entry, especially into turn 2, it gets real sketchy if you got an LMP coming up either on your inside or your outside. But just battling through, trying to keep it safe, keep it on track, and just hang on till the end.
I'm going to ask you a very targeted question here. Title
Please.
is sponsorship. Are you a golfer?
Yes, sir. Number 1 ball in golf. Come on.
What's your handicap?
Yeah. I am these days. I play off about a 4.
Okay, that's much better than me. So that is more than respectable. All right. So I guess a final race related question. Why did you pick the McLaren? Because we see a lot of drivers, bounce around a lot of different cars, but it seems like it's either McLaren or BMW, or it seems like the Mercedes has also been getting a lot of love. Why did you pick a McLaren?
Yeah, I mean, I just love the car. My teammate Christopher, he asked me if I wanted to tee him up. Said he was thinking the McLaren. I said sure, sounds good. But no, the car's pretty stable on exit. You can get some wheel spin, but especially in these high speed corners, it's very pointy. It feels very stable. On this track, it felt great.
Ethan, man, it was fun to watch you today. Anyone you want to thank? Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go? The floor is yours.
Yeah, certainly. Shout out to you guys. Another great broadcast. Can't wait to go back and watch it. Shout out my wife and my 2 dogs downstairs. Shout out my teammate Christopher. Completed the last podium, which is awesome. Great for the team. And shout out my boys Jason and Xander tuning in the chat.
Awesome, man. Ethan, congratulations. And we'll talk to you later.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Well, Patrick, another successful race here in Elbows Out around CTMP. It's been a lot of fun to watch, and I got to say, I think Road America is going to be just as wild as this week was, if not maybe a little bit crazier.
Yeah, 100% agree. Road America is such a classic track. It's always so much fun to watch, and I'm really looking forward to it next week, as I look forward to every single race on this calendar, because we have a fantastic calendar and we have a lot of amazing racetracks coming up here soon.
Well, I'll tell you what, I might be able to beat Ethan Murphy on a racetrack. I probably couldn't beat him at golf, though, if he's a 4 handicap. That's impressive. Not going to lie. Again, a big shout out to International Decorators Inc. for sponsoring us here, sponsoring all the broadcasts, letting us bring this here to your screen. Of course, we are on the run for 1,800 subscribers, so make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, and also we do have Twitter. I try to be active on Twitter as much as I can, but I'm not always active on Twitter. But this is where we're sending where we're gonna blah, 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 blah. One more time here. Let's try that. This is where we're gonna send this one off to the sunset for the evening. No more streams this week until Sunday night with Triple Bypass Racing. So a nice week away, which sometimes we need here at PTR TV. We work hard where we can, and every once in a while we just need of a breather, so we're going to take it here. But this was our little midweek run back in, so that way we stay a little smooth and not so rusty. On behalf of Patrick, on behalf of everybody here at PTR TV, my name is Brad. We've taken you start to finish. Be sure to join us for the next one where we'll take you start to finish yet again. Good night.